Welcome back to Consider Life. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to watch this is a clip from Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talking about the plan for or the idea of intergalactic travel and colonization. I've heard similar ideas from Eric Weinstein. Eric Weinstein is upset with contemporary physics because he believes that the future of mankind, if I got this right, he believes the future of mankind requires us to develop a solution for intergalactic or transgalactic colonization. So I want to use the Elon Musk and Joe Rogan clip as a jumping off point, and then I want to respond theologically why I think that's wrong. I think the future of mankind, it goes down a completely different trajectory, and so we'll talk about that.
If you said a million years with and say there's no new physics, could you colonize the galaxy in a million years? Absolutely, the entire galaxy.
So you would start with Mars, build bases on Mars, then use Mars to jump off to all these other planets, set up places there, and over thousands of years easily.
Just kind of like.
Yeah, you can tell this is a bit of a dated video because of Joe's background. Apparently, he's still in LA at this point.
So hop from one solar system to the next, and
that it seems like that's imperative. Like that has to happen if the human civilization is going to survive.
Okay, so this is the jumping off point that science basically the future of mankind the future of the species of mankind has to be secured by some combination of science and technology.
If the species is going to survive, we kind of have to escape.
It's mostly about the species. I mean, there've been some real doozies of massive meteors and super volcanoes, and the continents have moved all over the place, and Earth's been a snowball and super hot. And then there've been so many extinction events, not like just a few. I mean, the Permian extinction event, that was a real rough one, where it's like well over 90% of all species died out.
Yeah, so one of the books I have in my collection along this line is this book called Rare Earth by Peter Ward and Donald Brownlee. And they talk about the fact that there's been like 12 to 15 mass extinction events in the last, several billion years or whatever. So that's what Elon is pointing to in terms of like just the history of our planet. There have been mass extinction events where up to 90% of living things have been destroyed. Okay, so that's the basic premise, and it's not unreasonable. It's pretty rational, logical approach to the future of mankind. We understand that the history of the planet has undergone a dozen at least of these mass extinction events. There's only enough time between now and sometime in the future where we experience another mass extinction event. The only way to save the species is to get off planet somehow in a way that we can colonize other planets. The reason I disagree with this entire thesis is largely twofold. If we read Scripture and we take Scripture seriously and we look at things like the book of Revelation, the future of humanity is more spiritual than it is technological. And what I mean by that is this. As we read through some elements of the New Testament, especially the book of Revelation, what we see is that there's an increase in what we might call supernatural activity. That leads to all of the things that are predicated in the book of Revelation. There is no long-standing future of mankind where we go from planet to planet and populate other galaxies. If the Bible is correct, then that is just simply not the future trajectory of mankind. And the second theological point that I would make is this. I think we underestimate what it would be like for humans to leave the Earth and go to try and colonize, say, Mars. It's because we underestimate the spiritual reality of the fact that man was created with the Earth as his home, and the Earth was created for man to steward, right? There's a transcendental or transcendent fittedness of humans for the planet Earth. We seem to, I think, misapprehend the situation in thinking that moving from the Earth to Mars would be more like moving to a new city or to a new country. I think it would be more like moving to an absolutely alien planet with which we have no commune, right? The reason cults like Gaia cults and things like that are able to take off is because there is a spiritual connectedness between humans and the planet Earth. And so I don't think we fully realize how alien it would be to find ourselves inhabiting another planet. I suppose the last theological issue is this. A few weeks ago, we talked about God's immutability in the context of not being provoked or moved. There's another divine attribute, divine impassibility. And divine impassibility is summed up in the notion that God cannot be made to suffer loss by any actions of his creatures. God created Adam and Eve to live in Eden on earth. And Satan comes in and at the fall instigates this corruption of creation, causing the spiritual death of Adam and Eve, and then launching this entire arc of the story of salvation through the Jews to the Messiah, Jesus Christ, and then through Jesus Christ extended to the Gentiles, to the church, and then finally culminating in the return of Jesus to restore everything that had been corrupted or stolen in the first few epochs of creation. So that's what we see in Scripture. Satan corrupts the creation in Genesis, and by the end of Revelation, we have God at the end of all things restoring a new heaven and a new earth. So if we believe the Bible and its arc from Genesis to Revelation, we see that there is no humans leaving the planet Earth and going to Mars and starting over somewhere else and avoiding this destruction for, there's none of that. It's God coming back and restoring everything that Satan corrupted or tried to make him lose, because the Father will simply not lose. He has all time and all power at his disposal. And so what we see in Scripture is a restoration of all things. So that's why I have this theological disagreement with Musk's belief that science and technology lead to a future of humanity with transgalactic colonization. That's it. We'll see you next time.